You press play, and before your thumb is even off the screen, it's already running. No warning, no wait. Something that lives somewhere is suddenly here, in your hand, moving. So what really happens when you press play? Let's find out. Here's the picture most of us carry around. Somewhere out there, there's a place. Machines in rows, cold air, a fence. Your video sits on one of them. One copy, one address. You press play, the request flies across the world and drags the whole thing back to you. 6,800 kilometers, there and back. Except it isn't. Not for the first piece of that video. That one travels 18 kilometers. That picture used to be true. And it's exactly why this thing existed. The loading wheel. Except, you haven't really seen it in years, have you? Start with the thing you're actually asking for. Because on a modern streaming service, you're usually not asking for one big video file. The player doesn't wait for the whole thing. It asks for small pieces, and starts as soon as the first ones arrive. A 10-minute video might be split into about 150 cards, roughly 4 seconds each. That's the whole trick. It's also why you can drag the bar into the middle and just be there. You're not dragging through one giant file. You're asking for a different card. And each card may exist in, say, 6 sizes. Same 4 seconds, same picture, from postage stamp small to sharp enough for a television. Somebody made those versions in advance for every card. In this example, one 10-minute video becomes about 900 cards, sitting in a drawer, waiting for somebody to ask for exactly one of them. And none of those cards is the video on its own. The video appears when your player puts them back in order. So the first thing your player asks for isn't video at all. It's a menu. Not a picture, not a sound, a list. A tiny text document, often only a few kilobytes, lighter than the little picture on the play button you just pressed. It tells your player which sizes exist and how to find the cards in each one. Not the video itself, just directions. Your player reads those directions in a few thousandths of a second. Now it knows what it can order, and, more importantly, that it can change its mind later. Because those directions aren't a promise. They're a shelf of options, and your player is about to get very picky. It's the only part of this whole story that looks like a restaurant. Enjoy it while it lasts. Now the first order goes out. Card 1, please. And this is the moment where the picture in your head quietly falls apart. It doesn't go to that faraway place. Not 1,400 kilometers. Not 340. 18. 18 kilometers. On a large streaming service, that first card may come from a nearby cache, a rack of stored copies inside your provider's network. A flat, boring building in your city you've driven past 100 times. The rack belongs to your provider, the video copy doesn't. Which raises a much better question. How did a copy get there? You only just press play. Because a cache like that isn't the internet's memory. It's your neighborhood's. It may have arrived before you did. Hours before you did. Think about the shop on your corner. It doesn't phone the bakery the moment you walk in and ask you to wait. It stocked the bread this morning, before anyone came in, because this street buys bread. Every morning. Reliably. Some large streaming services do exactly that. They move popular cards into local caches during quiet hours, before anyone asks. Others fill the shelf only after the first request. Your provider is happy either way. Every copy nearby is one less trip across the world. Say 40,000 people near you watched that video today. You're number 40,001. You just got the fast one. And those 40,000 are a big part of why a copy is sitting nearby at all. You didn't get lucky. you got popular. And if you watch something nobody around here watches, then yes, the first request may trigger the long trip, exactly the way you imagined it. After that, the copy can stay nearby. The next person gets the fast one because of you. That's the part I like most. Your street's internet can get faster because of what your street watches. Back to your order. At the start, your player usually plays it safe. It asks for a smaller version than your connection may eventually handle, sometimes the smallest one on the menu, on purpose. Not because your connection is bad, not because it doesn't know better, because somebody measured us, all of us, and it turns out nobody is patient at the start. 2 seconds of nothing and you're already gone. So the player buys itself a head start, and pays for it with a few rough seconds. Which means the first few seconds of that video, the ones you sat through thinking it looked perfectly fine, may have been one of the roughest versions available. 2 seconds later it sharpened up, and most of the time, you never notice. From there, your player watches many things for as long as you watch. But one of the most important is the stack. Cards arrive faster than you can watch them, so a stack builds up on the table. Often it's around 30 seconds of video you already have, sitting there, that you haven't seen yet. Right now, your player may already be roughly half a minute ahead of you. And the rule is beautifully simple. Stack growing? It can try bigger cards. Stack shrinking? It drops to smaller ones. Immediately. Mid-video. Mid-sentence. Without asking you, and without telling you. That's often what's happening when the picture goes soft for a second and then quietly recovers. It may not be your screen, your eyes, or the video. It may simply be a stack getting nervous. 30 seconds of foresight, quietly running out. And our friend from earlier, he usually appears when the player runs out of playable cards. So, your card leaves the rack and goes into glass. 18 kilometers of it. Light through fiber, 200,000 kilometers every second. About 2/3 of what light does in open air, because glass slows it down a little. The first bit covers those 18 kilometers in under 1/10 of a millisecond. The whole card takes longer, but distance itself is almost free. Then the cards leave the fiber, arrive at a small box in your hallway, and cross the last 12 meters. Through air, through a wall, past a microwave, past your neighbor's network shouting on the exact same channel, and past the 4 other devices in your own home, all politely taking turns to speak. 18 kilometers, no problem. 12 meters, the hard part. Everything out there is glass, built once, buried, left alone. Everything in here is air, shared with everyone in the building. So when it stutters, don't automatically blame the faraway server. Sometimes the hardest part of the entire journey is the last 12 meters of ordinary room you're sitting in. Move the box, or move yourself. That's often the entire fix. Here's all of it, real time. That was 1.5 seconds. Again, slower. The press. And for a moment, nothing happens at all. Your phone is still working out what you touched. The menu. Read in less time than it takes you to blink twice. Card 1. Often a smaller size than your connection could handle. Ordered from a copy that may already be a few kilometers away. 18 kilometers of glass. The first bit arrives in under 1/10 of a millisecond. Distance is almost free. 12 meters of air, 1 wall, and a microwave. The hard part. The first card lands. The stack starts building behind it. Picture 0 meters, your eye. While you watch that, a rack like the one 18 kilometers away may have handed out a few 100,000 cards. almost none of them to you. To everyone else on your street, in your city, on their sofas and their buses, all doing exactly what you just did, and all sure their video came from far away. The same few seconds of the same video handed out over and over all evening. Like bread. And here's the part worth keeping. The internet didn't bring your video all the way from one faraway machine. It rarely has to, for anyone on that map. It moved a copy closer to you, maybe last night while you were asleep, or after the first person nearby asked for it. That's the real trick. Not just speed, placement, and sometimes foresight. Which is why we never really saw that loading wheel today. So, what really happens when you press play? Almost nothing travels far. The copy you watched was already waiting around the corner. How does that beep know what you just bought? Next time, on Frame Zero.